That's it. Every time. Let me see if I can find that.
Oh, this is funky. Ooh, not that way though. Don't want to make that mistake again. Turn me down a little bit. That's funky. Well, it's just coming through the headphones, right? Because if it comes through the speakers, it's going to come through the mic. So now it's just feeding in. So when I post it up, you'll be able to hear it.
I feel like there's little black keys in the air.
Yeah. This is hot.
Yeah.
This is hot.
Thank you.
Oh, that song was high. I got to get into the black keys.
Yeah.
All right, another week, another episode of Never Lie. We're here again. I keep saying we're back, and if you're every week, are you really back? Or are you just on schedule? I don't know. It's Never a Lie, and I'm not alone again. My lovely, intelligent, talented, beautiful friend Stephanie Lykes has come back again.
Yep.
Back in the Lion's Den.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming back.
Of course.
A lot of positive feedback on the last episode. I think.
Really?
I think everybody just got tired of hearing my voice. So.
No, I just add another perspective, another layer to it. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
So no pressure whatsoever, though.
No, not at all.
No pressure.
Not at all.
Just to jump right into it. I purposefully didn't talk about these things last week because I wasn't sure how I felt about them. So I wanted to, sit on it, get a little perspective at first. But as everybody knows, this time last week, in the 30th anniversary of their Just Do It campaign, Nike made Colin Kaepernick the face of this campaign. And I've heard a lot of varying viewpoints and perspectives on this. And I want to get your take on it first before I go in.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I watched the Nike commercial when it aired, I got a little misty, got a little warm and fuzzy all inside. Simply because I really liked the message that came through, highlighting those amazing athletes such as
Serena Williams also.
LeBron James. The dude that the Jaguars drafted that has one arm. A couple others that we're forgetting about. Some skateboarder. Yeah. I just think the message was amazing. Just this idea that, basically your dreams should scare you. And because that to me is when real greatness happens. If you kind of stay within the realm of playing it safe and really allowing all the people around you, including the naysayers or the people who are supposed to be pushing you on, if you allow them to kind of alter the road that you take, I mean, you're never going to get to that next level. So I personally I was already a fan of Nike. I have a massive Nike collection, but I might have to go purchase another pair in the near future. So.
Now, what do you say to the people who feel that when you mix business with activism, it kind of taints the activism?
I totally get that perspective, and I understand where that's coming from because, for some, you may feel that it dilutes the purpose and the purity of the message and what you're trying to accomplish. But I'm also a realist, and I realize that sometimes you do need a little bit of quote-unquote outside help to help further your message. And Nike has an amazingly large platform.
Yeah.
And, I feel like as long as you're not compromising yourself in the process, I don't find anything wrong with kind of taking your message and, your dream, your goal, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish to that branding level.
Yeah, I think there was a point in time where when you mix business with some things, like when you mix business with relationships or with activism or anything that's not that is tangential and not tangential. Which one am I looking for? Whatever. when you add money to something that's usually not monetized, there was a point in time where it became murky, but now we're in a point in time where everything is business. Everything. Especially with the internet, especially with people having the ability to cut out the middleman and create their own content and put it out there for the people.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, even the Pope has branding. Yep. You know what I mean? So, I mean, granted, he could use a good PR team right now, but I mean, that's just the world that we live in today.
Yes. I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm kind of like, honestly, I'm kind of indifferent. I'm just like, it's more about Nike's timing than what they actually did. Like they did it the week that the NFL started, when Colin Kaepernick has been signed to Nike for this entire time. So that's that. I mean, they're a corporation; they need to make money. So that's a little funny, but like I don't think it at all taints the message or takes away from the activism or dilutes it at all. The only thing it does is help. Nike is a multi-global entity, and like any push from Nike is going to help whatever cause.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, the fact that Kaepernick was already tied to the Nike brand, to me, I just feel like it kind of, if you look at it from this perspective, Cap is just using the platform that was already available to him. Yeah. And luckily, Nike was on board with what he was trying to do as well. Like, they didn't give him pushback. Well, I'm also speaking from, assumptions, but I'm assuming that Nike didn't give him pushback when he decided that maybe, or when this conversation took place, like, this is where I want to go with this.
Well, they just kind of put him on the shelf and didn't say anything about it.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, though, can we just quickly talk about like the craziness that has happened as a result of there's like I think he's a mayor or governor somewhere where like he banned all
Nikes from public parks because you can do that. Because you can
totally do that. You can totally do that.
Asshole.
Thank you.
Like, how do you plan on enforcing that? A lot of times when people say things like that, I'm like, yo, it would be a lot less offensive if you just called us all a bunch of niggers. Because at least then we'll like know exactly where we stand.
Like, I really need you all to stop hiding behind this like veil of patriotism or, this idea that you're just so offended by the disrespect of this silent protest of this one black man that this is why you're so up in arms. No, there's something deeper beneath that. And I personally, like you said, if you just came out with it and said, you know what? I don't like y'all. I'd be great. That would be great.
This sports writer, I was trying to say reporter and writer at the same time, Nick Wright, he was saying that like, and I posted this on Facebook, he was saying like what is your actual problem? Because before Kaepernick knelt, he talked to a veteran and he was like, I want to find the best way to protest this. I love all your ideas. And the veteran told him he should kneel. So we know the basis of it is not disrespecting the flag. So what's your actual problem? Is your problem that you think that black people and marginalized people, you already have enough? Like civil rights was 50 years ago, and you have the right to vote, and you have the right to marry interracially, and you have the right to like start some sort of life here. Like, is that what you have the problem with? Like us wanting more, or is your problem just fuck them niggas?
Well, the question it's not even a question about wanting more. I just want to be treated equal. I just want to be able to have, like, I have 2 nephews who I love dearly, sweetest guys you'll ever meet. And, I can imagine what my sister goes through every time they leave the house. Like wondering if, is today the day that something pops off and maybe my son doesn't come home? I mean, these are valid concerns that a lot of parents and a lot of black and brown people have. And I mean, if you even look at, what's her name? Oh, chick off of Fox. Laura Ingraham? I know. Okay. The idea that she has come out so strongly saying things like, just shut up and play, or just shut up and dribble. Or, when she recently just got into some hot water with the whole, the landscape of America is changing, and I'm not sure that, as Americans, we like it. Basically saying, I don't like all these immigrants, both legal and illegal, coming in. And I just... For people to also hear that and then still defend it as something other than racism, that's problematic on a whole new level.
Well, it's willful ignorance.
Yeah.
You are willfully and you're actively rejecting facts. Because again, with Colin Kaepernick, from day one, a veteran put his stamp on it, and other veterans of color stand behind it, and even a lot of white veterans stood behind it too. But they just ignore it. They just pretend it didn't happen. So you are actively pushing facts, which you can see with your eyes, which you can hear with your own ears. You are actively pushing that out of your brain.
But I do have to say, though, that it's not just non-ethnic individuals who are pushing back. I recently listened to the podcast, Van Lathan's podcast.
Oh, with Jason Whitlock. He's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit. I'm sorry.
I was listening to this in my bodega, and I literally started. I was like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah. So hold up. So for people who don't know who Jason Whitlock is, he's a black sports writer. He has a show on FS1. He is your typical sellout brother, meaning that when the conversation of race comes up, he gives the argument that makes sense on paper from a well-intentioned, educated white person who doesn't experience these things, and they make a comment on race that's like, oh, on paper, you know what, that makes sense, that's logical. But if you try to integrate it into reality for half a second, it doesn't work ever. And so when he says those things, I'm listening like, all right, what is the point of you being contrarian? What's the point of you playing devil's advocate? Are you doing it just for the sake, or are you really on some like self-loathing?
Because we all know those people who literally would just go against like a certain idea or perspective just to be contrary.
Yeah, just because it's popular.
Yeah, just or just because it's non-popular and they just want to, put themselves out there. Because didn't he kind of get on for basically, it was after the Don Imus. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not surprised he was saying the things that he was saying during this interview, but it just struck me as crazy because, I mean, you could tell that Van was about to lose it.
He did lose it.
He lost it simply because he's just like, he's like, well, I feel like he's being played. I feel like he doesn't even realize that he's being played as a pawn. And he's like, the brother actually understands what his focus is. He understands what his message is. Like, he has lost money. He has lost his livelihood. His name has been besmirched. Like, he gets it. He's like, nah. I don't think he knows. And I feel like that is so disrespectful on so many levels. That, again, I started screaming in my bodega.
So to give a little more background on Jason Whitlock, when anytime LeBron does anything in the realm of activism, he goes straight for criticizing. And again, like, what is your point for criticism? Like, all right, so again, I never, on this podcast, I never mentioned LeBron's I Promise School because when you get in bed with any government entity in general, but with public schools specifically, they're going to find ways to fuck that school up.
Right.
And I didn't want that to be the message that I put out on my podcast, because what he's doing is amazing, and I think it would have been better if he could have made it a private school where tuition is covered. However that happens, and so they don't have to deal with the bureaucracy of public schools, but eventually it's going to catch up to them. But again, that's my initial thought, and I'm thinking like, this is a great thing. Everybody else is saying great things about it. Me criticizing it, really, the only point of me criticizing it is that it's my opinion. My criticism of it doesn't really do anything for the whole situation, so I didn't talk about it at all. And like, I've done this for less than a year. If I have that thought process, and you've been a sports writer for damn near 3 decades, like, you're making a point to do this thing just to be controversial, just to make your money. And if you want to make your money that way, I guess.
I mean, when asked, like, why is it such a problem for you just to be supportive? Like, why do you have to try and basically like, cut this man down and all the efforts that he's, like, putting into literally making his community better. He's like, well, I just feel like there's a better way. Oh, do you, sir?
So what's the better way and a detailed plan so we can, so your criticism has validity. It's not just trying to make LeBron look like whatever you're trying to make him look like. Because, again, I'm not a fan of LeBron, but what he does off the court is amazing. You can't criticize it.
You can't.
You really can't.
And that also coincides with people who have a problem with silent protests. So tell me, please, what is the right way to protest?
Yeah.
I mean, because if you yell and scream in the street, then you're basically being violent and you're terrorists and you're thugs. If you do a silent protest, you're disrespectful of, and then insert whatever American, you know, pastime or tradition in that space.
Yeah, I saw this meme of Kaepernick and a couple other guys kneeling, and the caption was, racism is so American that when you criticize racism, they think you're criticizing America. And that's what, speaking of fucking racist institutions, did you hear about the story out of Dallas? There's a young man named Botham Jean. He was just chilling in his own apartment, and this Dallas officer named what's her name, Amber Geiger, mistakenly went into his apartment thinking it was hers, like gave him an order that he did not respond to, because again, he's just chilling in his own crib, like, you're not gonna tell me what to do at my crib. And
it's my place.
Yeah.
Okay.
She shot and killed him. And I listen, number one, I don't know how you mistakenly go into someone's apartment.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Unless it's one of those pre-furnished, like, cookie cutter, like what are those, like, divorce pads where, like, they all look the same?
Yeah.
There's no way you could have walked into his place, looked around, and been like,
yeah,
I don't remember putting this extra television and end table over here. Like, I don't understand this story. I don't understand how it unfolded. How do we get to where we're, like, brandishing guns?
Apparently this nigga broke in, hung up pictures of his family in your crib. You know what I mean? And, like,
I'm not really feeling this decor.
Yeah, and she claimed the door was ajar, but then I don't know how true or not this is, but, like, I saw something on Facebook from someone who lives in the same apartment complex, and she showed that, like, when you let the door goes, it slam locks. There's no leaving the door ajar. So I don't know how you leave a door ajar, but, like, I don't understand how you have a gun and you're afraid of someone that's chilling on the couch.
Yeah.
Like what superpowers do black people, like, let's say for the sake of argument, we were bred in slavery, so, like, after all the breeding, like, we have a lot of genetic advantages because you did that to us. So let's take the super duper.
We'll put that right here.
Yeah, let's take the super athlete end of that spectrum. Let's say this is like a fucking Julio Jones, like a Odell Beckham or LeBron. Let's say it's a super athlete chilling on your couch.
Yeah.
How do you have a gun and you are afraid of someone who is unarmed just because they're black? I don't understand that level of rationality.
Do we know if she was, like, under the influence of anything?
The only her name just came out a couple days ago, and the only details was like, she lived on the fourth floor. No, sorry, he lived on the fourth floor. She lived on the third floor. So I'm not sure how you skip your whole floor or whatever. And she thought the door was ajar. She gave him an order. He didn't follow it, and she shot him. And that's the extent of the details that came out.
I mean, real talk. I literally came in last night from walking my dog, and I wasn't paying attention that like, I pressed the fifth floor button, but I guess someone on the fourth floor had pressed it and had left. So, not paying attention, I, like, opened the door, got out of the elevator. I took 3 steps in the hallway. And this is New York City apartments. The hallway didn't even feel right to me. I was like, wrong floor, and got back on. So, this story has so many holes in it that it doesn't make sense. But going back to what you were saying about, you know, the super athlete from, like, you know, years and years of, I mean, let's call it what it was. Breeding. I mean, attached to that was also the social construction of the myth of, you know, the scary, angry, violent black man who, you know, sole purpose is to, you know, take the sexual purity of white women. I mean, this is not even me being like, super pro-black or whatnot. Like, this is literally written in the books, like, because in order for you to subjugate an entire population, in order for you to oppress them and literally like shape the narrative of them, this is exactly the story in the myth that they put out there. Yeah. And it still pervades today, because look at this. Anybody else would have been like, oh, this bitch is crazy. Yeah. There's absolutely no reason why this should have happened. But instead, I assume there's now, an investigation. I guarantee you she's going to probably get off scot-free. Probably. And, I mean, it's sad to say, but, like, when I hear stories like this, because I've heard them for almost every day, it feels like. Almost every day I hear a story about a person of color basically being gunned down for just living. I've gotten to the place where, like, I almost have to, like, I can't read it. I can't watch it, because for me, it's like, I just can't keep watching, like, my people get murdered. Well, like, state-sanctioned murder.
Well, and the reality of it is, if we were to adjust our behavior to the actual level of threat, we would never leave our houses.
Oh, never.
Like, we have to make ourselves level of delusional, some level of oblivious, just to walk outside. Because all these motherfuckers did. This motherfucker didn't even walk outside. He was chilling on his couch.
I'm in my house.
He was chilling on his couch.
I'm in my house.
But everybody else, they're just
watching
going along, walking down the street, maybe have a disagreement with a police officer. But again, unarmed, completely unarmed.
I can't.
That level of
I can't.
Like,
if Amber or whatever her name is, if she gets a gun back after this, I'm done, guys.
Fuck her. I hate her.
Where was this again? You said it was down in Texas?
Dallas. Yeah. Dallas. In Dallas.
I mean, are we really shocked? I'm just saying, no shade to Texas. No shade. No shade.
She's from Texas. For those who can't see, my partner's here off camera, and she's from Texas. So,
I mean, I feel like part of you was like, I mean, I get it, just a little bit. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. I'm not alone. I'm not alone on this. So yeah,
I live here.
Hello.
Texas, get it the fuck together, Texas.
That's all I'm saying, guys. Please, like, a church shooting is enough. Like, I can't.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about Serena now, right? We probably should.
I mean, I'm already angry. Let's go ahead and
all right. So, Serena Williams in the U.S. Open last week, she was in the finals. She was playing the young lady's last name was Osaka. I can't remember her first name. She's Haitian and Japanese woman, I believe. That's an aside. Serena's getting dominated in this match, getting her ass kicked.
Yeah, I heard she was getting bodied.
Yeah, and it's a violation in tennis for your coach to coach you during the middle of the match. So the coach coaches her, gets a warning. After the warning, Serena's like chirping at the ref. They play on. The coach coaches him again. He gets another warning. She gets another warning. Now she's like really yelling at the ref. Her coach coaches them a third time. Gets a point taken away.
Now, wait a second.
She freaks out, right? She freaks out.
Is the coach like just gonna? Is he just he can't be oblivious to what's going on, but he's still steady sending her signals.
Well, but listen, let me finish and I'll come back to it.
Go ahead.
I told you ultimately, what happens is she gets another point taken away. She like freaks the fuck out. Ends up losing the match. The girl who won, while she was receiving her trophy, the crowd started booing. Serena tells them to stop booing. This is her moment. Don't take it away from her. Puts her arm around her, but the girl never got her chance to really celebrate.
She also lost a game too, didn't she? Or like she lost a match or something.
She lost the whole. What's the whole tennis thing? Is that a match? A game? There's games.
Well, like they took. I thought it was like in addition to losing the point, like they also because it's like 5. Is it three? It's
Grand
three
Slams.
matches. 3 matches, right?
We talking about entire tournaments or
like during the.
So a whole thing of tennis is a match.
Yes.
And inside of a match, there are 3 games.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. So Because women, they play 3 games?
Women play 3, men play 5.
Okay. And so didn't she lose, like a game was taken away from her or something like that? Or?
Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe.
Okay, I might be making this completely up.
But either way, she was getting her ass kicked. She was getting her ass kicked. There's a point of that.
Okay.
So, now you were saying, was the coach just oblivious?
I mean, my thing is, like... I mean, even if I was Serena, I'd be like, okay, coaching, because clearly I'm being penalized for this. Like, I know you're trying to help, but in this instance, maybe let's not be so obvious about you trying to coach me from the stands.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying.
My point is this, like, she wasn't just losing, she was getting her ass kicked. Clearly her coach's coaching wasn't helping. So Mr. Referee, during the finals of a Grand Slam where the whole world is watching, why are you inserting yourself into this game?
Yep.
Let this motherfucker coach her.
Yep.
Don't call it. And she's gonna lose anyway. So even after the first warning and Serena's losing it, if you know anything about life or anything about sports, when someone's losing their mind, they're not going to be able to focus back on the game. So let her don't call anything, let her flip out. She goes to lose. You don't insert yourself, Mr. Referee, and this woman gets her proper chance to celebrate her.
Exactly.
So I think it's on the ref.
You should beat her idol. You know what I mean? But for me, my biggest issue also was this idea of Serena being penalized so heavily for something that other people, and by other people, I mean persons with penises, do. Persons
with penises.
You know, for the same, because like when they flip out and, smash rackets and like cuss out the ref and cuss out the judge. When they do that, they're just showing a lot of passion. Serena does it. She goes hysterical. She lost it. So unsportsmanlike. And again, before we got on today's podcast, I told you that I watched it on YouTube. And I looked through some of the comments, which literally lasted all of 15 seconds because I don't know who you, keyboard group, what do you call them?
Keyboard warriors, keyboard courage.
You guys, seriously, why? Why so venomous? The things that they were saying about her were just almost they were on the level of heartbreaking because it just kind of shows just how far we are from any type of equality, both for gender and also for racial equality, because they literally said some of the most horrible things about her. They were saying that she was acting like a spoiled brat, that she was, she went crazy. This is ridiculous. I can't believe she's pulling the feminist card, and et cetera, et cetera. And, I felt for Serena in that moment in the clip that I saw, because she was just like, you're doing this because I'm a woman. I've seen people say stuff that's so much worse than what I could have ever said to you in these last 15, 20 minutes. But I just... And
again, Mr. Referee just wanted to insert himself. That's all he had to do. Give her a warning.
Just be chill.
Let her flip out and watch her lose. You could have did that, but he clearly wasn't arguing with Serena Williams. He was arguing with some woman in his life who he couldn't win an argument with,
basically,
and decided to project that onto Serena Williams. So fuck that guy.
Someone was in the comments, they were like, I mean, who does she think she is? And everyone was like,
oh, well, the phone's recording everything. Oh. Whatever, who cares? Whatever.
And someone was like, she's Serena fucking Williams. That's who she is. She's the greatest athlete alive. And I was like, well, all right, there you go.
But I mean, and again, sports are very emotional.
They are.
Yeah, and especially the finals of a tennis Grand Slam, so you can't expect people to be on their best behavior. But your job as a referee is to be an outside entity who is officiating the match. You don't insert yourself into the match. We see this with basketball referees. We see this with coaches too. Coach, no one's here to watch you coach. Why are you flipping out? Mr. Referee, no one's here to see you referee. Why are you arguing with this megastar? Why are you doing this?
I'm not sitting out here in this heat for you.
Yeah, get your life. Do something with your life to make you feel important.
Exactly.
And stop trying to insert yourself in these moments that don't need you to be inserted into.
Exactly. I know.
God, these motherfuckers is crazy.
I know.
Serena. Should we even talk about 9/11?
We can.
I don't know what else there is to say.
You know the show Vice?
Yes.
Okay. So, Vice had an episode this past weekend where they showed, like there wasn't any reporter or any commentary that went along with it. They just showed, like, this one scene that someone happened to capture on 9/11, like, after the first tower fell. And, you know, they pulled this one guy to the side, and he was, like, talking about how, like, you know, he was on the 82nd floor, and, you know, he was trying to evacuate with everyone else, and he said he heard people who were trapped, and he stopped on the 67th floor, and there was a woman in a wheelchair, and he said he literally just, like, strapped her to his person and, like, went down 67 flights of stairs. Yeah, it was
wow.
It was intense, and you know, it's so surreal to, like, actually look at, like, like in that moment when you're not really certain what's happening or what just happened, and there's all this rubble and dust and debris, and people are in shock. You know, someone was actually there to capture that moment. They let the video roll, and apparently this person, the cameraman, also captured when the second tower fell. Mm-hmm. And you see, like, people, like, hauling ass away from this, including the guy who they just talked to. And the whole camera just goes black, simply because of all, like, the debris and stuff that was coming toward him. And it showed him, like, trying to talk to this guy afterwards. He was like, you know, do you have a second to talk to me? He was like, no, I just can't. And he was like, do you know where everyone's going? I guess he was talking about, like, you know, people who were being evacuated. And the cameraman's like, you know, I don't think so. I don't know where they're going. He was like, and, like, just turned, and, like, was dragging, like, his bag and his jet. Like, it's chilling. And that was only, like, a 3-4 minute segment. And I just can't imagine actually having to experience and go through that, and even like 17 years later. Were they able to catch up with the guy in, like, these days? And I don't know. I mean, it was literally like, it almost looked like they just pulled raw footage from somewhere and just said, we're just going. It literally just had the title 9/11, and then they just let it play, and then it went into another segment. I think they went on to talk about the war that that was initiated and is still going on in Afghanistan now. But I mean, 9/11 is one of those things that I don't really offer my opinion on it, simply because that's something that happened when I wasn't here in the city at the time. And so like, I just can't imagine actually being here and actually, you know, wondering or worrying if I lost loved ones in this. And it's just,
yeah, it's a whole lot. I was a sophomore in college at the time in Atlanta, so I wasn't here either. And like you said, there's just too many layers, too many things to unpack, too many lives that were touched to really give any in-depth commentary on it, other than to say that there are just some really hateful, shitty people out there who aren't going to be happy until the rest of the world is as hateful and shitty as they are. And the only way to fight these people is with love. You know, people think you fight fire with fire. No, stupid. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water, you fucking idiot. Whoever said fight fire with fire is up there with the asshole who came up with pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Both of those guys. And I'm sure, and I'm positive they were both white guys who came up there.
It's both the same type of person who says America, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's that guy.
Yeah. But when you live in America, it's like, America, all right, my bills are paid. Yeah. Basically. That's the right way to honor America. Yeah. I'm not
bills
homeless.
Paid, lights on.
Yeah.
I'm good. That's it.
Oh, all right.
Have you ever been to the memorial down there, by the way?
I've been to the new. I've been in the Freedom Tower. I haven't seen the actual memorial though.
Okay. So my parents, they actually came to visit me a couple years ago, and we actually went to it. It was right when it opened. I think they were still, like, having to, make some upgrades or what have you. But I work with a number of people who are originally from Jersey, and someone mentioned the memorial, and they were like, "No, I would never go. I just can't. I just would never go." And
it's curious.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really quite know the reasons why, and I don't want to speak for them. I don't know if they lost anyone in there. Maybe it would be too heart-wrenching for them, I guess, but it was just such a knee-jerk aversion to it, and I was like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, and I think if something is real, you should at least try to explore it to the part of your pain where you can, like, deal with it, but like to have like that knee-jerk aversion to anything is kind of like refusing to like fully engage with the world.
Well, I mean, I told you last week, if I feel an aversion to something, I gotta go explore it out and see what it is. So yeah, but I don't know.
All right, I think we talked about all the really sad,
your hot tops?
Heavy. Well, again, there's like, there's
nothing was uplifting or fun or I know.
We didn't even talk about Burt Reynolds dying or Mac Miller dying. We don't.
So I don't really know much about Mac Miller. And his music.
Yeah, and he's been around for a while. I wasn't really familiar with his music either, but from what I hear about from people who are familiar with his music or like familiar with him, he seemed most people saying he was very accessible in terms of talking to his fans, letting his fans into his friendships and letting his fans into his family life, and people who talked about him like had very specific anecdotes to talk about in his memory, and he just seemed like a really warm, fun, loving guy, and it's a shame that fame destroys people. It really is a shame.
So Ariana Grande.
Yeah, they
that's
dated.
His ex.
Yeah.
So I heard that she was getting quite a bit of.
Because people are stupid.
I know.
Well, I don't.
There's a lot of venom and hateful things kind of thrown
like
at
what did she do? Did she strap him down and force drugs into his body? I mean, also we don't know what the actual cause of death is. We know he had an overdose.
Yeah.
Close to the time that he died, so you can assume that it wasn't an overdose. But again, toxicology reports haven't been released yet, so we don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah, like I mean, because from what I understand, like they broke up a while ago, right?
Yeah, they broke up a while ago.
So am I like responsible for like any of the like future actions of my ex if
you got a hit record out when they die, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Note to self.
If you got a New York Times bestseller out when you are.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, if you reach 1 million follows or anything, yeah, you are.
Okay. All right.
People are fucking stupid.
For me, I just think it shows a level of callousness because I'm sure she's grieving just as well. Like she shared a part of her life with this person, and now these people who she's never met and will never meet come out of the woodworks and it's like, you should kill yourself too, bitch. It's just because of you. Do you know that? Do you?
But even let's say there's even reason to believe that she did it. Why would you still even say that? Like what is your point of saying that? And what it is that these people don't have fulfilling parts of their lives, so they're not even dialed in enough to reality to know how saying those things are going to affect other people.
That's when the phrase "who hurt you?" seems to really apply.
Hurt people.
Hurt people. Aww. That's exactly true, though.
Make sure you heal ahead of time so you don't bleed on those who didn't cut you. Yeah. Fuck stupid people.
There we go. Hashtag. Hashtag fuck stupid people.
All right. Did we get all the serious stuff out?
Yes.
Did we get all the?
Yes.
All right. Can we get into the shits now, please? Let's get into the shits. All right. Maybe about what's it, September now? Maybe about July. You had posted something on your Facebook feed that got me up in arms.
All right. So let me give a little context.
Okay.
So it was You were close. It's probably around June.
Right.
Some stuff was popping off, and I had posted on my Facebook page, which if anyone knows me or follows me, I never put any of my relationship or personal business up there because it's Facebook. But I do put things up that I think might, people could benefit from. So I put up this thing called the Relationship Accountability Spectrum. And it was created by this therapist, Dr. Esther Perel. And she's this therapist out of Belgium. She is amazing. I've seen video of her actually working with clients and couples. And she's a little bit controversial as well because she recently wrote a book that I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but she basically was like, if you have an affair, it's really not that big of a deal. That's her whole thing. It's kind of like, your relationship can get past that. It's just sex, pretty much. So anyway, the relationship accountability spectrum looks at both the passive to active ways of ending a relationship, and it provides the definition of what it is for you, the person who's breaking up with it, what it typically looks like, the language that's typically used for whatever type of breakup you do, and what it does to the person who's on the receiving end of it. Okay? So, the most passive way to break up on this spectrum is ghosting. Now, just for the sake of people who may or may not be dating or be living under a rock, ghosting is basically the ceasing of communication suddenly and entirely with someone you are dating but no longer wish to date. All right? So the reason why I posted it and said, I feel like a lot of people could maybe possibly benefit from this. Someone brought up ghosting is the worst, and it just kind of set me off. I was just like, you're absolutely right, because for me, I feel like of all the ways that you could end things with another person who, and I'm assuming this was more than say a couple of hookups or one night stand or what have you. If you actually decided to engage in a relationship with another person to just completely disappear off the face of the earth, yeah, it provides you with the avoidance of say a messy breakup, but I don't think people really truly understand what it does to the person who's on the receiving end of that ghosting, right? And according to the chart itself, basically it causes short-term emotional chaos, mid-term confusion and doubt, and long-term resentment. And on a personal level, ghosting basically puts you in the space of what the fuck just happened? Is it me? Did they die? Did they die?
Hopefully.
I mean, well, I hate you, fuck you, mother. Yeah, it's a whole and you're in this space because I think you kind of fall into this area where it's just did you not respect me enough to even say goodbye? And so then you and I got into a back and forth because you had added a comment basically saying, well, I mean, welcome to 21st century dating.
Yeah. So my thing is that, and I thought about my recent dating. So as I mentioned before, I got divorced last February, and we started seeing each other in August. So in between that time, I got a crash course in what dating is like these days. And for me, it was okay, here's how I come to the table. I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm going to tell you what I want, and either you want that or you don't. But tell me you want that and you don't, and we'll be cool. And I was not getting that in return. So I'm flipping out, what's wrong with these people? Why don't they do da 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 da? And I just came to the realization that most people just aren't most people aren't dialed in enough to themselves to be dialed into the rest of the world and to make a genuine connection with somebody. So me knowing that this is how the world operates, I can't have an expectation of people treating me the way I would treat them when I've seen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again that that's just not how the way they're going to treat me. So I can't make them shift. All I can do is shift my approach and my perspective on it. And my perspective is, all right, if you're gonna ghost, that's you are just not strong enough, you're not enough, whatever, to have a difficult conversation with someone. And in this day and age, you can just send a text. So like so I'm trying to apply that sort of thought to everything else. Like, I can't expect people to respond to things the way I respond because they are not me, and I have to shift my perspective to fit the rest of the world.
I get that, and I understand taking on that perspective, but I think one of the things that I pushed back on was the fact that not everyone is like that, simply because I personally wouldn't do that to another person. And if I have inadvertently ghosted someone, please do not hit me up afterwards.
Ghosted.
That was not my fault.
Hilarious.
But I personally would
That's
not.
amazing.
Have either of you ever been ghosted? Have you ghosted somebody, baby?
My ghosts are more like zombies.
the slow fade.
It's not even a slow fade. Like, they literally might drop off a cliff for like 2-3 weeks. And then it's like, they pop back up and be like, good morning, beautiful. Mm-hmm. How you? I miss you. What? I have, like, and this is like you do this once, and for me, it's kind of like, we're going to set the stage. This is what you don't do if you want to have any interaction with me. If you ghost again, then clearly you lack basic moral values and character for me, and I can't deal with you, and then I move on. I actually had a partner who we split ways. He ghosted, essentially, and literally popped back up 11 and a half months later and was like, what's up, girl? I was like, bro, I thought you were down in the Dominican Republic. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, so how would you think about starting things back up again? Bruh.
That's
really?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing and hilarious.
Yeah, and sad all at once.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying, like, for me, I know that that's something that I would never do to someone that I actually cared about. And I know friends who wouldn't take that route. Mm-hmm. And like, that actually caused us to segue into another conversation, because you were like, look, people are not always going to be like you, and people are not always going to see things the way that you do. And I totally agreed with that. But I'm just not ready to put myself in that level of where this is acceptable behavior, because when you excuse it, this is why it continues to happen, I
don't excuse it. I just chalk up the lesson and then treat that person and people going forward I treat them according to the information that has been presented to me. And I spend a huge part of my life trying to change people's opinions, and I don't do that anymore. The most I will do is back someone into a corner and make them look at their own argument and entertain the idea that another argument might be right. That's the most I will do. But in terms of like trying to change people's opinions, a lot of people's opinions aren't based in reality. And even when they are based in reality, they're based in the past. They're based on people they don't talk to anymore. They're based on situations that they don't deal with anymore. So they take the past and they project it onto the future, and they live in this thing that's not even real. So if you're living in a fake reality, how can I even like try to like pierce your reality when you haven't pierced it at all?
So are you talking about people who are like perpetrators of ghosting?
so I've never ghosted in the context of we're seeing each other, we've been hanging out, we started to make plans, and then one day I just stopped calling. I've never ghosted in that sense, but I've ghosted in the slow fade sense, like slow up the text, slow up the, I've done that before. But I've also told
long
people,
soliloquies now become like one word, like LMA, LMAO.
And I've also told people straight up, this is just not appealing to me anymore. And I think that is the best way to be honest and not have to go into here's exactly why I don't want to see you anymore, because like people say they want that, but like nobody wants it, and it never ends as well as you think it is going to end.
Okay, so let me ask you a two-part.
Okay.
All right. So number one, have you ever like ran into someone that you have quote unquote slow faded / ghosted like later on down the road, and what was that interaction like? And also, when you have actually like decided to just be upfront and tell people or tell the person that you were seeing that I no longer want to do this, like, what do you feel like that for in that moment was more beneficial than actually like had you decided to ghost?
No, it's not. Well, one, I've never run into someone I slow faded. But also when you are upfront and direct with people, I just do it because it's like the right thing to do. But I don't actually get, I get just as much benefit from not talking to somebody as I do from having a conversation with them.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like if I am no longer feeling someone, like I'm already not feeling them. So like I was feeling them. I'm not feeling you anymore. Now you want me to go back into a space of discussing emotions with you when I'm all the way down the block. So I don't have any connection to it.
I feel like it doesn't even have to be that emotionally wrenching, especially if you're in the space of I don't feel anything for this any longer. You know, like I don't think it has to be like this long, drawn out, painful, like we loved. I'm gonna think about you always. Like, I don't think it has to go to that level. I think people who do ghost, I feel like it's such a cowardly and selfish way out.
It is.
And, you know, I know you had said something about how, you know, some people, like, you can't really expect them to kind of be in the space, especially if they have like an inability to kind of make these connections with, you know, people on a deeper level. So what about the people who decide to ghost? And I mean, like, after they've been together for years. I can tell you some horror stories that are just like, that's some bullshit that happened to like Karen's friend whose cousin, like third removed, but it's true.
I know niggas that was living with girls and ghosted them.
How do you do? I need you to give me their contact information so I can just be like, I'm sorry, you don't know me, but how?
So my ex-wife's friend was living with this dude, and he was always, it was never anything like blatantly shady, but it was always something that was just slightly off, and you couldn't really put your finger on it.
That side eye feeling.
It's like you answer all the questions a little too right, and you know the right thing to say like all the time, like something about. So anyway, they were.
Hey girl, I wrote a song for you.
Yeah, they were living together. And she went away for maybe the weekend, maybe a day, and he like packed up all his stuff. Not only did he pack up all his stuff,
he didn't touch her stuff, did he?
Huh?
He didn't touch her stuff, did he?
He took a mattress that they bought together,
bruh,
and put the old mattress on the old mattress was in the guest room, and they had a new mattress. He took the new mattress and took the mattress off the guest room box spring and put it on her box spring.
Okay,
and just bounced.
I have questions, and I know you probably can't answer them.
I'll try.
Okay, when she left said residence, what was like the interaction between them? Like, was it loving? Did they leave on a sour note? Was it just like, I'm gonna catch you on Tuesday?
In the context of a normal relationship, they were probably just having a little bit of static, but in the context of how unaware she is and how shady he was, it was just like not good. I
mean, you know what kills me? He had to have like reinforcements because moving a mattress.
Somebody definitely helped him. So that means that like not only did he have to wait for her to leave to move her out, while he was planning this, he had to be like, I need to have these conversations when she's not here. I need to call when I'm at work. Or like, so yeah.
Did she ever see him again?
As far as I know, no.
See, that is the stuff that I'm talking. Okay, I get it. You can't control other people's actions. I understand it. But I can only imagine the devastation that probably brought on for her. Like, and you took my mattress.
Yeah, he took the mattress.
My good Posturepedic.
Yeah, that's foul.
That is so foul.
I think that's the most foul part of the whole story. That's so foul.
You took my mattress, bro.
He took the mattress.
You took my mattress. I'm sorry. That's fuckboy on a whole new level. I am shocked. I mean, like I've heard like stories where like people are supposed to go on vacation together and like one partner doesn't show up.
Oh,
I heard. Yeah, that was after like I think 3-4 years.
Did she still go?
Well, she went because she was supposed to meet him there.
Oh, like not that he didn't show up. Oh,
and
wow.
So he's supposed to come in afterwards, and I know you got to laugh. I mean, she was there and she was like, getting ready, and he was like, yeah, I'm about to get on the plane.
Wow. So
of course, her first instinct is something tragic has happened because
yes, I'm definitely you're dead in the ditch kind of person when I haven't heard from you.
So now I gotta try and call the airline, and they're in like a different country. She doesn't speak the language, so she's trying to please blah blah blah, help me find this person. And then slowly but surely it starts to sink in for her because the plane is fine, the plane landed, he just wasn't on it. And I think, and they were living together when she got back. He too had ghosted, left a little Post-it note, and that was it.
What was his reasons?
He just said, I just can't do this, and that was it. And now, with any story, there's the version that each person brings to the table, and somewhere in the middle of all that muck is the truth. But in what universe? Does you ghosting on a trip? It required a passport. I just don't understand how we get to that point where we have spent our lives together for X amount of time and you still can't just tell me this isn't working out. Matter of fact, you could have texted me before I got on the plane.
Yeah.
It's things like that.
So when breaking up from whatever you consider long-term relationship or even a short-term relationship, when breaking up, do you feel like you owe the person an explanation, or is I'm just not feeling this anymore? Does that suffice?
I feel like if you give someone like it's not an exit interview. You know what I mean? At least you shouldn't treat it as such. So you're not going to give the person a final review of their performance during said relationship. But I do feel like, if you do decide to maybe, I feel like there's a level of honesty that should be included in any breakup. Do not give me canned phrases like, it's not you.
It's me.
It's me. Because I'm thinking, clearly it's you.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just I feel like you should, depending on the amount of time and whatever space you're in, and also the nature of the breakup, because sometimes some people, you just don't want to respect them enough to give them, that loving goodbye. Mm-hmm. You just want to throw up, fuck you and bounce. But nonetheless, you still do it. You still have that messy conversation. It's a part of the relation. It's written in the laws. You go through your honeymoon phase. Shit gets a little rocky. Maybe you bounce back. Maybe you don't. And then you have the messy breakup. And then you go on about your business. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to. And like I said, it doesn't have to be that messy. But I think just out of respect, have the talk.
Yeah.
And this also comes from the fact that I am a big believer of karma. because
I am not.
See, karma's a bad bitch, and the reason why I know this is because she keeps coming from my ass for stuff that I didn't even do. So that's why I'm just kind of like, I'm always very cognizant of how I treat the people in my life.
Yeah, but that's why I don't believe in karma, because like
really,
so like karma is like I put out positive or negative energy and I get back positive and negative energy.
So more kind of like a law of attraction, or are you on? Well, first, are you on that level of like the law of attraction and the law of
art of seduction?
Well, not necessarily. Yeah, I don't want it to be like, on that the secret level, but basically the idea that the energy that you do put out also draws that type of energy to you.
I think the energy that you put out goes into the universe, and people will be affected by it, and maybe you. And maybe people close to you, and maybe strangers, but you put that energy out and people get affected by it. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come back to you.
So you're not really about that ROI about it, like the return on investment.
No. You put it out there and you live your life, and then it happens. But it's definitely because like look at all the horrible people who've done horrible things and never had anything horrible happen back to them. Or think about all the phenomenal people who do amazing things and have shitty things happen to them. Like only really shitty things happen to all the best people have the worst circumstances are the best people So yeah, I don't believe, and also
or do we really know these people though? Maybe there's like some some sinister darkness that we don't know about.
That's true.
I mean,
that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just seen too many good things happen to shitty people and too many shitty things happen to good people. to really
Are you ever going to get your comeuppance?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So like in my experience, like the only like breakup talks I've had to have with like people who I was like kind of seeing, sort of dating. We hung out a few times because in my long-term relationships, they would just like end spectacularly where no one needs to have a breakup talk.
So clearly this is done. Clearly this is over. All right. Go with God. Yeah, I've been in that space.
Yeah, because even when my marriage deteriorated, that's exactly what it did. It fucking deteriorated. Started off slow, and then like the last like maybe year and a half, 2 years, it just went straight down to the point where we were like, one of us is going to die if we stay in this relationship.
I mean, did you just like dap each other up and be like, okay, well, so we're done?
I just what happened before I left? It was a lot of yelling. It was a lot of crying.
Oh.
It was a lot of. It was very unhealthy.
Wait, so was this? And I hate to get in your business.
No, nigga, please. Nigga, please.
So this moment that you're talking about, was this like when you two decided that you had to break apart? Was this like the day of said like divorce? Like, I don't know. What is that moment that you're?
I don't know. I can tell you specifically the moment. So just to give a background on relationship, when we first started seeing each other, like in the first maybe like half year or year, we would hook up with girls together.
I don't think I met her.
Did you meet her?
I don't think so. Like I remember following your relationship via like Facebook. Like, oh, you got married. Yeah, great.
So simultaneously as that was happening, I wasn't aware of the things that I wasn't getting in a relationship just between the two of us, right?
Okay.
So we're in that space. As time goes on, I start to become aware of the things that I'm not getting in the relationship. And instead of like having a conversation with her or even like break up with her, I just became way too preoccupied with the other woman aspect of our relationship. I became so the more preoccupied I became with it, the less she gave me what I needed, the more we resented each other. And it was just a cycle that just
And this
snowballed.
is before you actually got married?
This is over the course of being together and getting married. Towards the end of the marriage, our marriage was open. And so the thing that ended it was, again, I was way too preoccupied with the other female aspect of it, was I had went and spent the night with this woman, and I wasn't, I was very callous about it. I just told her, I'm going out. I'll see you tomorrow. I came back the next day, like noon, 1 o'clock the next day, and just like waltzed in the house like it was all good, and she just fucking ballistic. She completely lost it, ballistic. And she was like, you know what, this is clearly over. You should do this, you should do that. I'm gonna leave and you figure out what you're gonna do. And so she left. She like hung out with her friends for like, you know, she would only come home to like sleep, shower and change and go back out and hang out with her friends. And over that time I was just like, all right, fine, this is over. I did go home and tell my parents about it, and I moved back there with my folks for a few months. After I had left, I saw her a couple of times in the coming months, but the last time I saw her was like last June, maybe, and that we were able to have a civil conversation about like what we both brought to it, and she was very honest about the fact that the household that she came from, both of her parents are divorced. They divorced when she was really young, and they did not co-parent her at all. So she was very honest about the fact that she never learned how to do these things. I was very honest about the fact about how I became too preoccupied, and I never really had serious conversations with her about how I'm not getting what I want, and I can become very grumpy and very snappy when I'm not getting what I want. So we had a conversation about that, and yeah, that's the
so many questions.
Yeah, shoot, go ahead.
Okay, so this decision to open up the relationship, this was why you guys were married by this point?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the back, so was she also dating other people?
Yes.
Okay. So when you had that talk to quote unquote open up, was it kind of like with were you subconsciously in this space of like, this isn't really working right now, but let's just kind of, for the sake of like keeping the peace, if you will, let's kind of open up and kind of explore other people? Or like, what was the motivation for opening?
I was consciously in the space of, well, this part of the relationship is not good, but like I have fun in this part, so I'm just gonna delve all the way into this part, and to the point where I like became a completely different person.
So what made you just like decide to get married to begin with?
My parents have been married for 35 years, and so to me, it's just like,
that's what you do.
We love each other and we have fun together, so let's get married. I was never thoughtful about it. I was never really introspective about it. I never really thought about what the actual institution of marriage is. And actually, she didn't want to get married.
Really?
Yeah, she did not want to get married. She was actually pretty adamant about it. But I was like, those are silly reasons. Let's go get married.
Yeah. But the insurance, girl.
Yeah. And actually all those things like aren't really true. Like your taxes are a year to year thing.
Yeah.
Single
it's
or married.
Crap, guys.
Yeah, single or married. There are no additional benefits to your taxes when you get married.
So had you like actually had at any point prior to or even after you got married, did you ever have like a serious like heart-to-heart conversation with her where like you felt that she actually saw you at any point, or were you still just kind of going along with, this is what you do, we want to get married and we're in this space, and
all right, so
I don't hate her, so
so in the moment I could tell that she heard me, but like when it was time to enact it, she just wouldn't. So like, for example, during, obviously I'm a teacher, so I'm off during the summer,
right?
And actually the last year of our relationship, I was doing a lot of different like freelance stuff to like build my personal training business and substitute teaching and all that. So like I was home a lot, and I was like, look, I understand, like, even when I was teaching, I understand it's summertime and I'm here all the time. And even when I wasn't, when I was doing my hustle thing, I understand that I'm here all the time. I have no problem doing a lion's share of the chores. I have no problem doing that. Just clean up after yourself, because when you don't clean up after yourself, the mess, and even if it's not your intention, the message that you send to me is,
I don't care.
Yeah, well, TJ's going to clean it up, so I'm going to leave it here. So I would have that conversation with her plenty of times, and then when it was time to enact it, it just would not happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically, two people who, you guys just came from totally different perspectives with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And again, if we were both honest with ourselves from the beginning, we probably would have broke up maybe like months in, or like a year in, but like neither one of, like, we were.
You could have just added her to the starting lineup, you know?
Yeah, but I've been.
Is that disrespectful?
No. People date a lot. Not other people. I was. We were very much in love, but like we didn't like each other at all by the end. So at the beginning, it's cool. We have fun with each other and we love each other. And then like the love stayed, and then the like just like completely disappeared.
Yeah. Wow. That's intense.
Yeah, that
is just incredibly. I mean, I personally feel like the relationships where you don't have disagreements or like passionate discussions, if you will, or even if you just don't, have quibbles here and there. I feel like when you do get to the point where you do fight, it's so massive that usually it ends. Which is crazy, because you go into it thinking, I mean, we never fight, or it never gets this deep. And then suddenly it's like you can't, it's almost like you haven't developed the coping skills up into that point to kind of get past it.
Yeah.
And that's why the breakup kind of happens.
Well, and also
and I think that's also why the breakup might be so messy for people too.
Well, for me specifically, and men in general, like, we just want to keep the peace. So if it's a disagreement about something we don't care about, we would just like let it go and not fight about it. But like, you have to fight about it, because if you don't, it's like one pebble. It just builds up. Yeah. It's one pebble.
Yeah.
And then it just builds up. Two pebbles. Even for the next thing you know, you got a whole dam and no water's getting through because
I'm thirsty.
So you and people don't have that fight out of like one, men wanting the peace, but two, people in general, like, you don't want to break up and you think fights are going to break you up, and it's not the fight that's going to break. Like, the fight may speed up the breakup, but it's not the fight. That's not the reason why you break up. You break up is because you're not compatible.
I feel like the idea that you can't get past or have a fight because it will break you up, if you are afraid that that's going to end your relationship, you probably shouldn't be together. If
I can see that.
If a fight, because like you have fights with your friends and you don't like dump your friends after like one fight.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's some real fucked up shit,
No.
But I mean, I also want to push back just a little bit about the idea that, I mean, I get where you're coming from with the generalization that men just want to keep the peace.
No, that's not a generalization. That
is a generalization.
No, it's not.
I will stand firm in this, because I personally, and again, I can only speak from my perspective, I absolutely hate fighting. I think from my own personal perspective, growing up around disruptions and arguments, usually over bullshit, has literally gotten me to the place where it's just like, if we can talk about this, everyone's cool, boom, and I don't want to hear about it again. Normally that serves me well in my relationships until I meet someone who actually is, I guess, the one who doesn't let stuff go. Who, I guess, I don't want to gender that, but it's like,
gender it. Well,
I mean, I guess
you gotta make generalizations to get your point across.
I mean, I guess in that regard, then I would adopt more of like the quote unquote man's position because I hate fighting. Absolutely hate it. But I also don't want shit to fester because I don't do passive aggressive well at all.
Yeah, I am aggressive. I'm not passive aggressive.
We don't fight about this.
We don't fight about this.
I got something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I've been in situations lately where it's like, are we still mad about this? I'm pretty sure you said we're cool, but you're still sulking in the corner. Well, so what's happening?
Well, and it's because they're not mad about whatever you fought about. They're upset about something else that they're not secure enough to tell you. Mm. That's what it is.
Problem.
That's a personal. That's everybody's problem in a relationship. If it's one person's problem, it's both people's problem.
I know. The last few breakups that I've had, I have now turned into this person where I will send a tiny email at the end, kind of like because again, I do live and operate in the space of, putting out good energy, even in moments where I want to rip someone's face off. Mm-hmm. So I send an email where it's look, I don't hate you. I wish you all the best.
I don't hate you.
You can expect your shit in the mail in a couple of days, and I'm out. That's it. Which is better than how I used to do it. This was during the days when you weren't supposed to break up over text, but I got into this place with one of my exes where, I so hit the wall with this person that the idea of actually being in person with them again just drained me completely. I had gotten to that place where everything I had to give in this relationship,
you'd given it.
Yeah, I left it all out on the floor, and I sat on my couch that night, and I looked I might have been watching some bullshit So You Think You Can Dance or something. And I was just like, you know what? Yeah, your last bullshit behavior, I'm just disappointed. I'm not even upset anymore. I'm just disappointed. So I think we're done. And I got a very aggressive email back, or text back rather. And English wasn't his first language.
I don't know why that's funny.
I'm sorry. Because you know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this. And he ended up telling me, he was like, oh, okay, have a nice night. And I was like, no, we're breaking up. We're breaking up. We're done. And I think what he was trying to say was have a nice life. And so, yeah. I mean...
I don't know why that's so funny.
I'm not.
I don't know why that's so funny.
No shade, no offense. You know who you are, though, sir. But yeah, and it was real aggressive too. Have a nice night. I was like,
is that how
Well, I'm blocking you after this text, but okay.
Is that how West Indians say goodnight to say hello when you see them at night? Is it like that? Hello, good night.
Hello, good night.
I just got here.
Am I leaving? I thought I was gonna hang out. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. And after that, I've gotten better about my breakups.
Okay.
So, but I always want to make sure that I close that door because I don't like zombies. So.
For me, my relationships end spectacularly. So there's no leave the door open. We burnt the whole fucking house down. There's no door, or there's only a door left. So walk around the door.
In this rubble lays the remains of TJ's relationship.
You can find your breakup speech somewhere between a pile of ash and the rubble. Yeah.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah. I don't know. Respect each other, guys.
And be kind to each other.
Be kind. Be good, be kind, behave. That's what my dad used to say to me.
Be good, be kind, behave. I don't know about behaving, but...
Oh, I mean, it was not... He was like, it just sounds good. I know you're not. So, yeah, but that's it.
Oh, wow. Another good one. The time just flew.
I know.
Anything you want to plug before we wrap up?
No. I mean, again, you can find me on on Facebook at Stephanie Lykes, Lykes, or you can even find me on Instagram at thatchicknamedsteph. And that's about it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just thank you again for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. For me, 10.1 on Twitter, the number 10.1 on Instagram, Thomas TJ Stokes on Facebook. My motivation on all platforms to check out my personal training website. Once again,
the brother is working.
I'm working. I'm trying. At least I'm trying. Once again, thank you for listening. The response and the reception that we've been getting is always warm and thoughtful and heartfelt, and I'm just glad that everybody's listening and loving it. So until next time, everybody, would you say be
good, be kind, behave.
All right. See y'all later.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to lose it like that.
What? What do you mean?
Have a good night. Yeah.
She gave me my money back. Then she told me that she loved me. And she gave me